Right. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network. I've just made a new acquaintance yesterday, actually. I caught her live on Facebook and I loved the things she was saying. And she seemed like a perfect fit for the Women's Wellness Network. Of course, there's so many different facets to wellness, and well, she covers a couple of them. So, Tatiana, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming, especially since, I just discovered you yesterday and here you are already. So I think it's just the right timing. Anyways, maybe you could introduce yourself and tell us where you are in the world.
I am Tatiana Vilarea, and I am in Denver, Colorado. Not in Denver, but like south of Denver. I moved here 2 years ago and enjoying this beautiful sunshine state.
Oh, yes, Colorado is beautiful. So beautiful. Wow. I guess that we might as well start right off. What it is that you do in the world.
I work with entrepreneurial and professional women and women who have something to share with the world, and they're really good at what they do professionally, but they experience different blocks. And the live you caught was about money and the root cause of money blocks, which is codependency, which is beyond kind of mindset blocks and shifting negative beliefs alone, like the depth of it. But be it money blocks or visibility blocks, like being on camera, speaking up, sharing, especially sales and marketing blocks, and confidence issues, right? And all of these blocks that seem to be and are known to be mindset blocks or
Mhm.
business blocks, right? And we do a lot of belief shifting and mindset work, or maybe energetics work. But I have a twist on it, which is going all the way to those early life imprints and traumas and relationship traumas and wounds, the rejection or abandonment and not belonging and being an outcast. And for money, it's that codependency, right? That's the live that you saw a couple of days ago. I think it was like 2 days ago,
Oh,
whatever.
of course.
But yeah, so going and healing those relationship points, and how I do it is because those issues, be it early life trauma or transgenerational trauma and more collective levels of the stuff that limits us as women, and that feminine smallness, what I call, right,
Mm,
that shows up in with money, that shows up in business, doing it on the level of the body first. So I developed a body memory release method, and I work with more feminine approach, working with the body first, body memory release, and then combining it with the mind, because the body holds the psyche and the body memory holds the psyche and the psyche holds the body. So both have to be addressed, but it's more feminine. So it's not mind over everything, but it's body. Yeah.
yeah, wow. That's a lot of that's a lot of stuff, right? And we don't think about these things like our money and our finances and how we work in the world. Um, all that stuff was put on us and we don't really even pay attention to it. And next thing we know, oh, we're failing at our finances, we're failing at our being able to save, we're failing at supporting ourselves, we're failing at feeling we're worthy of supporting ourselves. And then you said the codependence thing.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
yeah, huge. Codependence is like such a weight, like a press on top of us. How did you get into the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I think we have a little
I was
lag.
I was just saying that, think about it, because codependency, we were wired for thousands of years into this child mindset or child archetype mode, right? And and even historically, like in the Western world, in the States, only 50 years ago, we were allowed to have a credit card. So these issues, they're both personal, right? And our early life traumas and transgenerational trauma and sexual trauma, but it's also collective. And collective layer of it, which is what also imprints codependency, it takes a lot more than 50 years to recover from, to release. And especially if we try to work with modalities that are made for men by men, such as coaching, all that mindset approach, as if we can fix the mind and everything else with the mind. But those traumas, they're stored in the body as much as the psychology, as much as the psyche, as much as the mind. And so for a lot of us women, it's that constant freeze, right? On the level of both psychology and biology, so that body memory and psychology. And so we are conditioned to fit in, to, all of it comes from survival, of course.
Yeah.
So we've been conditioned for codependency, literally, both on our personal level in families and on the collective level. And so addressing both of these issues and working with mindset, kind of like with modalities and tools that can penetrate to pre-verbal and pre-conscious type of traumas is critical if we want to work with female confidence, with female finances and female authority and leadership and visibility. All, like, I used to be terrified of camera. I couldn't speak a word on camera. Literally, I would have a paralyzing panic attack level of fear.
Wow.
And things have
Can't
changed.
see that now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I guess that's the whole thing, right? We don't realize it's on all sorts of levels, like the leadership, as you said, right? Leadership levels, um, you know, the hierarchy of everything that's brought to us in the world, especially in first world countries where we think we can go out, we can get an education, we can get a job, we can do all the things, but we still have that programming.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are literally wired to overgive and people please and undercharge and overgive when we are undercharging. And so, I don't know if you wanted to go into the money topic,
Yeah,
right?
you know what? Finances and money are part of wellness, right? If we don't have
Yeah.
that, we're missing out a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also like to say that, to kind of express it in a way where we have this paradigm of the victim and victimizer, or victim and abuser on this planet.
Mhm.
It's that collective level, and it's expressed on the macrocosm and the microcosm, right? And so women and money and our like women's relationship with money and that victimization, or being that, operating on that child archetype versus the badass women who can make all the money and we are not financially dependent or relationship dependent, right? We can choose. So that microcosm and macrocosm, right? They're connected. And so without unraveling and doing that personal work, we can't shift the collective. We will stay in that victim abuser paradigm. And without women, we can't shift that dynamic, because we are a significant portion of this world. And also because if we look at the statistics right now, there are more women getting higher education than men. In the Western world, there are more women who are opening businesses, but also the rate of the closures are higher too, right? And so doing that inner work, be it with the money and with the confidence, the visibility, is what's going to shift our planet. And we can't do it without women. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think women are just starting to realize that that's a thing, and we have possibilities, and we have options, and we can do it. But we need people, leaders that help us see that, like yourself, right? Like people that understand um, that oppression, I guess, if you want to call it. As you just said, we only were allowed to have credit cards 50 years ago, and that's, I'm 56. So that's not very long within my life, right? So I know within my own, um, my own past, my own family, yeah, the money thing was always controlled by men, and it was always dictated, even when the moms had to go out and get jobs and my aunts had to get, right? And everybody started to get out into the world, but we still hadn't healed. We hadn't discovered that we needed the underlying things to be fixed.
And I will even let's deepen it a little more. I will suggest, even if, and I work with so many women who are amazing, like they figured out the professional part, they got the achievement, they're making really good money, but you know what happens next? We then get in relationships. So going back to codependency, where we support the man, the house, the travel, we pay the mortgage. We can be the breadwinners, and we are, but then we still tiptoe around men. We still get really affected by the ups and downs in relationships. We put men on pedestal. We basically, and this is what I'm talking about, that I'm yet to meet a woman who has money issues or recurring debt or feast of famine, all the different dynamics with money, be it in business or her career. And maybe she even achieved success, but she can do a lot more. And she keeps hitting the ceilings. And I'm yet to meet a woman with those ceilings and money issues who is not codependent in her love life. And of course, other relationships too. So a lot of us think it's money mindset, and we try to do it that way, or maybe we use energetic work. But again, it's because the root of it is in codependency. Unless we address that species, that particular component, we can work on trauma alone, we can work on survival, because ultimately that's what's feeding codependency, right? Of course, it's survival. We can even work on our nervous system and nervous system regulation in addition to the mindset, but without effectively addressing codependency on that level of biology and body memory and psychology to unhook both, because both are holding. This is what's taking us forever. And we do the mindset work, or we do the nervous system work, or trauma work, or inner child work, but we're still codependent. And there is a methodology to the madness that I've discovered over the years. And this is why I started teaching it, because I realized I completely changed my codependency. I've been codependent for over 15 years. I grew up with a mother who was codependent and financially dependent on my dad. I am the daughter who watched the mom, right? I am the daughter who got imprinted. I have a sister. It's the same type of patterns, right? And here I am. I moved to the States with $350 in my pocket to New York, conquering the world, achievement and all of this stuff. And I still experience exactly the same stuff. And so the first time I addressed codependency, I went from 24, making around $26,000 a year, to about $100,000 a year without even finishing my degree.
Wow.
This
Wow.
is the first time I used the principles, but I didn't yet know what on earth I did. And only later I discovered there is a methodology and the stages that we progress through universally as women. And this is what holds us, like codependency holds us from moving through that progression to that achievement, self-actualization, financial realization, all of that. And codependency is one of the biggest blocks to our financial and professional realization.
That's so interesting. I know a lot of people, myself included, when I was, very involved in that. I, had a husband and all the things. And yeah, not even realizing that it was a thing. I didn't even know that I was doing that I was caught in that trap, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
How did you discover, like, what made you realize that that was happening to you?
Believe it or not, I have not been teaching on money specifically for all those years. I started my business in 2017. And because I had so many issues with that visibility and not being able to speak on camera, and I transformed it to the point I did a TEDx talk a couple of years ago. And the only thing I was worried about is that my lipstick, which was super red, would rub off on my teeth.
Oh,
Instead of, compared to a few years before then, when I couldn't speak a word, I couldn't even, I don't know, just record myself for my personal use on camera. And so I was working with visibility fears and confidence issues and imposter issues and the relationship wounds and trauma underneath, be it belonging, not belonging, love, nurture, childhood trauma, parental trauma, or sexual violations, right? For visibility, for confidence, of course, like connected to sexual trauma. And I loved helping women heal their relationships and, of course, work on codependency. But I never thought I would be teaching on money, like how to do that specifically to improve the money situations, to grow the income, be it through the career or business. But recently, I had a conversation with a client, and she has two beautiful little baby girls. in a codependent relationships and having these dynamics, and I love her so much. We worked a couple of years ago, right? She was my client a couple of years ago, and we reconnected. And I went for a walk after that, and I started asking myself, how did I overcome codependency? And I started tracking and tracing, because yes, I do it for women, but like, what if I actually make it into a system? And then I remembered that transformation and quadrupling my income back in 2015. And then again, when I went through a really difficult breakup and betrayal with a partner, that was the next level of that progression through the stages. Because remember, it's the stages.
Right.
It's not even, and I want to normalize it for women. It's not even that there is something wrong with us.
Mhm.
Codependency, relationship issues, and blocks that we experience, they are meant to happen because it's the one of the ways, be it with money or with relationships or with health, is how we grow through that universal, ascension psychologically, spiritually, right?
Right.
And so there is nothing wrong with us. It's just meant to be. But the problem is that most of the modalities that we have, they don't work with the body memory. And so all of it is stored, and or they don't work in combination with the body and the psyche, because trauma and relationship wounds that cause codependency, they imprinted both on the level of biology and psychology. And the traumas that create, or wounds that create these issues, they um they have predictable outcomes. Like there are predictable ways, not one, not two different, but there are predictable ways how, let's say, childhood trauma or sexual trauma, and the difference between the two traumas, how they would affect and show up in a woman in professional life, financially, relationships, like love life. They're predictable. And so if we look, like I'm very about, oh, I'm all about energy. I had two near-death experiences. I'm all about spirituality, but I also am very logical and like pattern oriented. And I see patterns. It's like I always talk about it. It's almost like the Westworld series, the show, right? The hosts, we are the hosts.
Right.
We are replaying the loops without even knowing we are replaying the loops. And the loops are both collective and personal, based in our personal life and traumas and wounds. And so we are those hosts. We don't even know we replay it. And it's all over and over and over, the Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Right.
So I see the patterns. Like my genius, I meet a client, I meet a person, I even see it in networking events. I can talk to the person, I see what transgenerationally they are imprinted with. And therefore, and plus then if it's a client, they share what happened in their life.
Right.
And so we can go straight to the root and cut so much time. And if we know what trauma has what effect, universal patterns.
Right.
And if we know what is it that we are going through as that progression psychologically as women, universal stages. When the love fiascos happened, I've gone into psychoanalysis like I've never gone before. I started studying psychoanalysis back in 2019. And so combining the body memory release and trauma work with psychoanalysis, and realizing that there is a methodology to the madness. And if there is somebody who cracked it and then can guide us, we can get there so much faster. And most importantly, that we don't make it mean that something is wrong with us as women. We are already like constantly judging ourselves, and there is nothing wrong. We're meant to go through stages to grow. And as long as we go through them, instead of resisting and fighting, ask me how I know,
You didn't
then
do
we're
that,
good.
did you?
I was a mess. I was such a mess, and I'm proudly saying that, because my mess was yeah, it was so good that it literally, like, the rock bottoms I've gone through in life, from like nothing to eat to coming to the States with $350 in my pocket, to like completely dysfunctional relationships, to then traveling the world for 5 years full time, changing my relationships, changing my friendships, making I was estranged from my father for 13 years of my life, And now we talk about business. He's the only entrepreneur in the family. After 13 years, I repaired the relationship. He never changed. I did. And so was it worth it, all that mess? Oh, yes, it totally was.
That's the thing, right? Sometimes we can't see it until it's a big disaster, right? We don't even know we're in it until something traumatic or dramatic happens to us. And usually that's the way, right? We don't go looking for help until, something, an illness, a bad breakup, or whatever it is. There's, many different options there. But yeah, when we finally see it for ourselves, then we're willing, but then, right? Who do we go to? Where do we look? And that's the thing. We need to be able to know who we can connect with and know who we can rely on. That, like somebody like yourself, you've gone through some crap. So you have that foundation, right? So if somebody's just, speaking it from a book or
Yeah,
from a
absolutely.
school, yeah, it's not the same as being trauma informed. And that's what I consider you, is trauma informed.
Thank you, Tammy. And I would also add that for me personally, because I was that person who learned through rock bottoms until I chose not to. So now I do it proactively. I now don't want to get to the rock bottom. I now shift, but for years and years and years, I worked through, like, I only learned through rock bottoms. Like, I would fry myself. I know that rock bottom. I know how it smells. I know how it tastes. I know how it looks. And for me, I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't want people who come to me get to the rock bottom. So I think the mastery here is when we as practitioners can help clients see what the rock bottom can be and kind of help them not avoid it. Because I'm not for avoiding. I actually think our mastery, our soul expression, our journey develops through challenging experiences. Our actually confidence grows. Like, I lived barely with any food for over a year. My situation was so bad that I didn't know if I would be able to actually survive. And where I got with that, and the level of confidence, the level of, well, first of all, because it was so bad, I started studying everything under the stars. My knowledge and my experience are now combined. The confidence I have, and also the confidence that if I've gone through it, and if I've found the methodology to the madness, and if there are universal stages, and if I now can work with body memory, and I have the tools, now I know that I can also do the same thing for others and help hold the confidence and the vision for the client before they start seeing the vision and confidence themselves. But I do believe that we don't have to go through rock bottoms, but we have to at least know, like, see them, so we can develop that mastery. It's that road to character. We have to still touch a little bit of those rock bottoms so we can respect ourselves and value ourselves. And maybe my opinion on this will change. But again, I would not have been the Tatiana I am today. And
Right.
like when I'm dating and when men give me compliments on something about my character, but then they start like saying like, oh, I have children, I want to cushion every blow that the child has. And I'm like, well, you say that you like my character and who I am and my values, my integrity. Well, I'm the person who's the product of so many hardships that this character is because of that.
Right.
So why would you cushion every blow for your child? And that child is not going to be prepared for reality of life,
Exactly.
especially if he's a man, if it's a boy, and then we have an issue of, men who are eternally internal children.
Uh, that's a whole nother thing. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think we know a lot of those, unfortunately, right? But it's true. And I,
Mhm.
like you say, we do have to go, we don't have to, hit the bottom, but we definitely need to look over the edge. We need to see what is, possible there. I think Yeah, but having somebody to walk you to the edge and not let you fall over, you know, like yourself, right? Having some kind of a safety net there, I guess, ultimately.
Mhm. And also because, Tammy, there are so many women who don't have trust
Mhm.
and connection with other women. I
Yes.
used to be that woman. My mother is a product of World War II. Both of my grandparents were in World War II. So everything that she was imprinted with genetically, epigenetically, behaviorally, energetically, from that survival, from that horror that my grandparents, her parents went through, everything that trickled down to me and how she raised me, it was a lot of trust issues and survival period with men, with women, with everyone. And so to develop that net and that support, we don't even allow it unless we heal. We don't even allow it. A lot of women and men or anyone, it's not gender specific, but they think they want help, right? And they think they hire a practitioner, but it's the first thing that resistance and inability to trust a woman or take the woman as see a woman as an authority. Like if I don't see you as an authority, I can pay you $15,000 or you can pay me $15,000. But if at the start of therapeutic relationship, if there is an issue with women to women or women to men, if that sabotage is not addressed, you will go through the program with me, or I will go through the program with you, make it look like I'm doing the work, but I won't let you in. And I won't treat you as an authority. I won't learn from you. I won't trust and surrender in the therapeutic session to you. And so we do a lot of those programs, whatever the modality is. But if this issue is not addressed, all of it is it's not gonna land. It's not gonna be absorbed. And then we wonder and blame the practitioner, the methodology, something, or nothing works for me, right? Or especially like very masculine women and high achieving women. We have so much hypervigilance and like the guard around us that if this is not addressed, you can pay millions of dollars for programs and it's not going to be helping you because literally there is an underpinning program of no trust and not accepting authority. And I had to address that. And now I see why so many of us don't achieve results with brilliant programs, with brilliant practitioners.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like you're trying to bypass that the core wound to, you know, but you keep it's like it's a quicksand. You just keep sinking in. You're never going to get out of it if you don't get that solid foundation underneath.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. My goodness. Wow. Wow. This is even better than your live. And I
Yeah.
suggest to you, Women's Wellness Network, go and watch her live. It was really great, actually. So, Tatiana, actually, if women would like to work with you, how can they find you?
It's very simple. I'm the only Tatiana Vilarea on Facebook, on Google, on any social media. The last name I have was channeled. I had to apply for American citizenship. I have dual citizenship, and that's why I traveled full time for 5 years. So I needed a last name. And again, I'm a meditator. I have a very strong spiritual practice, and I needed a last name that is not my father's last name, so I don't continue the patriarchy, right?
Yep.
Second line.
Yeah.
And so I literally got it channeled. So it's Vilarea, and it just turned out that there is nobody else with that last name. So it's easy to find. And
Wow.
I'm at tatianavilarea.com, which is my website.
Okay, we'll make sure we put all that information in the comments so that people can find you. And yeah, I love that. Channeled your own last name. I think I might have to try that. I don't go by a last name either. So my Scarlett
Okay.
is my middle name.
Okay.
Same kind of
Yeah.
idea. Yeah. I just haven't come up with my name yet. I'm gonna start working on that one. Thank you for that inspiration. Actually, thank you for all the inspiration. It was really wonderful to have you. And yeah, I hope some women connect with you because there's a lot of us out there who have been dealt that codependent I don't even know what it is. It's a container of something that keeps us, a block, I guess it is. It just keeps us where we are. And yeah, we don't want to stay there. We want to elevate. We want to keep going up. So thank you very much, Tatiana, for coming on today. Women's Wellness Network, we will put her information in the comments, and yeah, definitely connect. She's got some good information there. So until next time, be well. Yeah, thank you so much, Tatiana. That was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I